So after 22 to 23 years, you all decided to reconnect, catch up, and reminisce on camera and take everybody through the journey with y'all. So update your class on what you've been doing for the past 22, 23 years.
So, Corrie, we're gonna start with you. How was your flight to Philly?
My flight to Philly was good. It don't take me long. Coming from Charlotte, North Carolina. Flight's only about an hour. I use my airline miles to get here. Yeah, it was good. So, basically, I got two boys I'm taking care of. I take pride in that, being a dad. That's my thing. Being an excellent father. Um, I still work at TSA. That's really my job. I've been there 18 years. I've been 18 years. 18 years in the government. I work out at this little small airport out in Concord, North Carolina. It's about 30 minutes outside of Charlotte, and I've been doing that at that airport for the last 4 years, and it's been really good to me. So that's all I've been really doing. I travel a little bit. That's really been my thing since I've been single for the last year. So that's really. I mean, I got some things I want to do. Uh,
It looked like everybody been traveling this year. Corrie, you just celebrated a 40th. Where we celebrate that at?
Down Florida. Went to Florida for my birthday, my 40th birthday.
You decided to be low key because you're always everywhere else.
This year, yeah, stay local. Usually we do something extravagant, but this year we just did something local. But I'm a traveler. You already know. I like to go places.
So where at Florida? Miami, Orlando, where we go?
It was Orlando, Florida, to go to Universal Studios. Something small. That's it. It was more of a relaxing thing. Uh, okay. Florida was fun, but I like to go other places sometimes. But we couldn't get out the country this year.
I've been in Delaware, probably about 12 years now, I think. But so like right out of high school, I kind of floundered a bit, like kind of hopped colleges and whatnot, and then I just ended up just started working and whatnot, and then I I ran into I guess technically my ninth grade crush, like in the subway one day coming back home from get my weekly comic book run, and and she happened to be getting on the same trolley that I was, going back to my house, and it's one of those things where you meet somebody you haven't seen in a while, you're just like, oh, I really want to talk to them, like, are you really going on the same trolley? Oh, okay, all right. And then she ended up, like, it was like she had to go pick up her uncle's car or something like that, and I was just like, do you want to come? And like, in my head it was like, no, no, go home and read your comics. But then my mouth was like, all right, but then from there, like, we just sparked a friendship, and that a deep, like, really sort of like, and we weren't even trying to date. Like, she had a boyfriend, I was out here trying to, so it wasn't even like anything like that. But the connection just, we were just so, I guess, just attracted, like, just on a mental level, and it just morphed into dating, into being engaged, into being married, two kids. So it's but yeah, then career wise, like, I've been working with different fintechs or banks and whatnot, doing data and analytic type stuff and whatnot. Yeah, we got our two kids. Just sent them both to one to high school, one to middle school today, this morning. So for
How long have you guys been together? 'Cause I think
together,
we
okay.
just celebrated an anniversary.
Yeah, so technically yesterday was our 19th anniversary being together. Yeah, 19. Yeah.
You only 19?
Out the room, like, nah. And it was our 15-year wedding anniversary on the 9th this month.
And when you gonna celebrate that?
We went to St. Martin. Yeah.
Well, I just turned 70, July 24th. We kind of hung around because we're watching my grandson through the summer. He was always with us. He's Roman, 6 years old. And we're going to go away in October. We're going to go to a couple of weeks in Europe, go visit. But I retired from teaching 4 years ago. I left motivation think it was 2004. I went to Bach, and I was at Bach, and same thing I did in motivation, was coaching football, baseball, teaching science, chemistry, biology, physics. And I ended up, when Bach closed, I went to Southern, did the same thing. In the meantime, I ended up finishing up my master's. I have like 4 degrees in biology, chemistry. I got a degree in pharmacy. I was a clinical pharmacist. And I got my master's in education and leadership. Right. So it was always in education. I had a great life so far. I've been married for 43 years. I've known Kathy since she was 18. We've been around the block. I'm still here in South Philly, 34 years. I'm 4 blocks away. 2 sons, Gabriel's 36, Blaze is 28. They're very successful. But my grandson is my man. I enjoy that. He's different. Yeah, he's different. He keeps me hopping. He keeps me busy. So we pick him up from school. He's only a couple blocks from here when we pick him up from school. But I've had a great life teaching. But teaching for motivation, I just explained earlier, I met 2 of my former students with their children. Junior in high school, and I was like, shit, I'm getting old. I mean, you know that. You know you're old, but like you meet somebody like, she's a junior? Yeah, and I'm like, oh my God. So I run into all these people all the time, from coaching football. Everybody knew where to find you. They would always catch up with you, and you would play certain schools. You get to know everybody else who you taught their children are playing here and there. But I'm doing great. 4 years retired. My wife just retired 2 years ago. So it's easy to get about, you know what I mean? So here I am.
Has been busy these last 22, 23 years, and you spoke about, running into some of the students that you taught. So when you all got the phone call or the text about this groundbreaking project that was going on, what was your initial thoughts and reaction?
On brand for motivation, honestly, because I feel like for our class, like any other high school would have been like, oh, reunion, let's all pick a hall or hotel. We're gonna like what you see on TV and stuff. But I thought like for the way our class was, like this is natural for I think what we would do. Like we would come up with something out the box to. So I was just like, all right, yeah, let's. And I know we even tried like the traditional route. Like we had the little Facebook groups, a couple of them and whatnot. I think just one is still active and every now and then. But when this came out, I was like, okay, maybe this is what we're gonna do. Like I feel like this is what's gonna bring everybody together. Yeah.
Y'all can thank me for sparking it all. Because I came out in the group and said, hey, we coming up on 25 years. Like, what are we doing? Like, we ain't had nothing yet. Like, what's going on? And then Melissa came up to me, was like, hey, we're going to do this doc, and I want you to be a part of it. And I was pretty excited at first, but then I was like, dag, like, I live all the way in North Carolina. Like how this going to work out? So at first, I had backed out, and Melissa had called me, and she had this long, we had a good 2-hour conversation about why you should be in it, and she kind of convinced me and got me back rolling into the picture. So I'm pretty excited that I'm here and able to do this.
It was pretty easy. I thought motivation was a special school. I taught at 3 different high schools. Motivation, because of the smallness that was created at the school, it was very intimate with teachers and students, and the classes were 60. It was easy to connect to everybody, and schools don't have that. And I've been in other schools, and that's one of the things that was very different about motivation that I don't think can be recaptured in any other school in Philadelphia. And it was a special moment, special time to be there. So I was glad to be able to come and talk about motivation because I had a great time there. And it's good to talk about nice people.
Well, since me and Melissa have been running for the last 20 years, you could say together on events, fashion shows that she's helped me with numerous all types of parties, and we've just had fun for the last. We just experienced her 40th birthday, and we had a big event for that. Henry K Productions. So, you know, once I get the call, well, once I get an idea, well, once I hear the idea, it's already a go for me. So I already tell her, you know, put that full throttle and let's just do what you want to do. So the call is always easy for me because once she has an idea, I'm going to feed her and tell her to go ahead and do it. So that's why we always going to be.
So from what y'all said, it sounds like you all are very committed to the mission that you all either created for when you think about Moat or the vision that Moat had for you all. So for people who may not have attended the school, how would you describe your overall high school experience at Moat?
I'm going to take the first one on this one. I'm coming from West Philly. I was not trying to be a part of the Southwest culture in a way, you know, technically. So it's a culture shock to me. I was out my neighborhood. I was in a new area. I was set on being who I was before I got there in a way. So it was a big transition, meeting new people, not the neighborhood kids that I grew up with, taking a bus for the first time to get somewhere because I always walked to my school, middle school and high school. Well, middle school and elementary school, I always walked to the neighborhood schools. So it was a big element change. But overall, I think it was a great experience. A lot of different culture at the school, a lot of different races at the school, which was definitely new to me. And we all came together and worked together. That's what the culture was and motivation. And that's why I stood so tall to me.
Say for me, I think it was more so on my parents, by my mom in particular, as far as like how we were just, I'm the oldest of five, and how she was raising us, you know, just in general, like, you know, sort of like outside the box, like the world is bigger than this corner that we live on, like this block that we own and whatnot, and, you know, I feel like with me being the first as well, like trying to set me up to be able to, you know, experience like different walks of life, different cultures, like different, you know, ways of learning, you know, and not just being grounded in just like, you know, like the hood, like, you know, kind of what the environment was. And like, even within our own home, like it was, I always talk about like, especially with my kids, like how it was really like a bubble around our house. Like it can be like the streets and everything that goes on with out there. When you walk in the door, it's like PBS and like art history books and like, you know, conversations and music and like all like this and music that you would not hear like out there, like classical music and Bob Marley and like, you know, like Peruvian folk music, like all different, like all kinds of things that both her and my dad, that world that they created for us in that little house that we grew up in, like motivation was sort of like the high school extension of that for me as I was growing up, like, you know, into my adolescence and, you know, adulthood and whatnot. So I feel like that was just really just another piece of the development puzzle that my mom, you know, set up for me. So.
The funny thing is, my mom also, I had two decisions. It was West Philly High and it was motivation. She said, "You're not going to West Philly."
And my dad was teaching at West Philly. He was like, "Yeah, you don't need
I wasn't allowed to go.
So for me, Moat wasn't my first choice. My first choice was Central High School. That's where I wanted to go. My mom was like, "No, you're not going there. You're going to Motivation. It's the neighborhood school. That's just where you're going." Because for me, like, I knew everybody. I'm from Southwest. I'm from Eastwick, whatever, Penrose, Cobblestone, whatever you call it. I know that area. I mean, I grew up in that area for 30 years. So, I mean, I knew everybody that went to that school that was in that neighborhood or went from Southwest. So I knew everybody. So it was like, no, I wanted to go experience have some new set of friends, new people. No, you're going to Moat. That's just it. So.
Up there too, a friend of mine, Saeed, went there, and he always talked very highly of motivation. But it was also the one thing he talked highly about was pizza from Domino's on Friday.
So it sounds like, you know, from what everybody's saying, that y'all all, you know, was at a space in that season of your life when you was 15, 16 years old where you had to branch outside your comfort zone. So how did that experience, branching out your comfort zone, like turn into or help impact the person that you are today?
I'll tell you how I was impacted by everybody that I went to school with. So I'm going to tell you about my senior year. And we're going to start at the senior year. Senior year, everybody is ready to go to college. I haven't filled out a FAFSA form. I may have got approved to go to one school or two, but I didn't even fill out my FAFSA form. I don't even think I was interested. I knew I wanted to go to college, but I didn't think I probably was going to attend college. And everybody else was going, so I made a last-minute decision to actually attend Norfolk State University. It was the most expensive learning lesson of my life, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity to do it. Yeah, and it brought me home, but it brought me on my path to do the shirts, to progress in my haircutting. You know, it got me where I needed to be mentally, and it was definitely a stepping stone.
I think, all right, sorry. The biggest thing I took from my motivation experience was learning to think independently. Like, I think the way all the teachers, taught us for the whole 4 years, and we had our constants, we had some that came in like later on, but no matter who it was in any of the classes, being taught to think independently, like, you're presented with a body of work to complete, something to think through critically. Like, when it's to do it without crutches, to do it like, go research, like, all like it. That's the thing, because like in the particularly in the career that I have now in data analytics, where I didn't really go to school for it. Like, I basically learned it pretty much on the job, like being able to go out there and find whatever knowledge and skills and whatnot that I needed to do my job well, and to continue learning as as I'm going along, whatnot, like just in all facets of my life, like that skill of thinking on my own, critically thinking through things, like being able to problem solve on my by myself without having someone to have to walk me through it. That's probably the biggest thing I took from my experience.
Well, everybody knew, and motivation knew, I was going to Temple. I had Temple sweatshirts, Temple everything, so everybody knew Temple was my only destination where I was going to go to school at. But motivation, I think they definitely prepared me for college, and I do think the teachers that taught there, just taught me like the finer things of how to prepare, just basically getting prepared for college. Because when I tested into college, I tested into college math and college English or whatever, all the college courses. A lot of the people that came in with me, they tested in like math 101, like basic 1 + 1 is 2 math. And I was like, wow, like, so I really have to thank my high school for getting me prepared for college.
I agree with
and
that
I did
too.
my 4 years.
And I would say,
Temple.
like, particularly on the math, like that's where I felt that the most, like when I was
Yes.
because I felt like each grade, even from ninth grade, we were like a year ahead or more than most of the other kids that are going into school. So like, when everyone's like groaning about calculus, this, I'm like, what are you talking about? We already did half this stuff anyway. It's like, and it all just sort of flowed naturally. So like, I think the foresight that the faculty and the administration running the school, like knowing what we would be running into, and then
Right.
and that's the thinking highly enough of us to say like, hey, these kids that are growing up in inner city, they're capable of learning this stuff. They're capable of getting these skills. Like now, we're not going to wait until or just when it's going to kind of process them out, let them fend for themselves. Like believing in us enough to want to teach us those sort of things and give us the opportunity to learn, to be independent thinkers and whatnot, set us up, I think, very well when we graduated out.
So basically, after hearing everything that they said, how do you feel knowing that you made a positive impact on these young black guys' lives? You know what I'm saying? At such an early age that to now they have proliferated into these husbands, into these fathers. Like, how do that make you feel as an impactful teacher?
Well, I grew up in South Philly. I grew up in Wilson Park Project. So I grew up in mixed company my whole life. Everybody was poor. Didn't have to worry about races. Didn't have to worry about, everybody was poor. Everybody went to school, came home, played baseball, basketball, and everything like that. So when I had the opportunity to be a teacher, and especially a teacher in motivation, it was totally different because you came in with a group of teachers that were veterans, not rookies. Like, people are there for 30 years, and you're coming in, you're going, shit, these people, they've been here forever. Like, first time you meet them, like, oh my God, like, what do you teach? So now all of a sudden, all these things put aside, the most important thing was your students. How do you talk to them? How do you perceive that? So I always think I model my behavior. When I was teaching, when I was coaching, it was the same way. Like, if that's the way you should do things. So when people see you doing that, the way you behave, the way you talk, if the student's there all the time, they pick up on that. They pick up on that later on. You would see that. I'd bring my children to the football games, to school, how you interact with other teachers, how you interact with other students. I always seem to have a lot of fun in class. And I think the students appreciate that because I had a different perspective than some of the other teachers. I mean, bottom line was we were teaching. Everybody's getting education. You go from one class to the other, you're getting education. Besides that, you got to model that behavior, what it is to be a man, what it is to be a father, and that's what I did my whole life. And on the field, in the classroom, I'd always talk about my children, my wife, my parents, or whatever you did growing up. So you relate to that sooner or later. You know, I still see kids today, and they laugh about certain things you would do. You know, talk about eating this or going here and going there. You know, and it was, you know, I was Italian, so it was a little different. My wife's Puerto Rican, so my children are different. You know, so everything was different. So it never mattered. Like I never looked at somebody, oh, he's black or he's this. Everybody was the same. Everybody was the same. And you know what? Everybody came from different areas. And when they got to school, it kind of like you had the opportunity. You were like in a small area, and you could do a lot of stuff for people. And you know, I was dean of discipline there. And it was easy because I was like, oh, you ain't doing that. You know, this is what we're doing. You have children at home, you're going to do the same thing. You ain't going to let them do that. So you know what? You know, we're going to write you up, send you home for a day, talk to your mom. You know, it's fine, your dad. It's the way it is. And you're just being fair. But modeling behavior it's really hard to do. You know, because sometimes you model the wrong behavior, you know, and that's what you have to be very conscious of. You know, that people see you, people perceive the way they see you. You want that to be in a certain light so that later on in life, so maybe, oh, okay, Mr. Natale did that. I remember that. I remember but you know what? It's important. It's important. I don't think it's done a lot. I think a lot of people come in, go through the motions. They don't get emotionally tied into students. Me, I was coaching, I was teaching. I was emotionally tied into everybody. Had a great time, and I never regretted one day being in Bartram Motivation with the students, the teacher, the whole area. The things we did at that school was things that never been duplicated anywhere else I taught in the system.
A couple questions. We asked them to give us some words that would describe you and a memorable moment. So I'm going to go through a few of these, and you're going to tell us how you feel about it after it. So, Zenobia, and you're hard to get in contact with, sir. Just so you know.
Oh, I got to tell you that story. You just
That's
can't
how
believe
you
shit happened.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
I was texting them, and I was, yo, he ain't his back yet? And they go, no. And I was like, yo, we have to go through his wife. And they was like, you want to call his, you want to text his wife? Yeah, I'm going to text his wife, because if his wife see his name, she's going to respond. And sure enough, that's how we got you through Kathy. So shout out to Kathy for getting Natale here. The girl said, the Zenobia in particular, she said, Natale ain't take no shit. Can you say that on camera? I told her to get me curse. She said he loved football, but loved the players as well, always pushing them beyond the sports. One of the impactful memories she had was learning football plays on chemistry. That's all I remember. Because it was game day and nothing else mattered. She said, what's the impact, you ask? I can now watch a football game and know what's happening. So that one came from Zenobia. Let's see. Darla said, you are a badass. She said, impactful memory for her. I didn't even know this happened, but she said, he was cheering me on for a softball game, which made me confident to slide into home base. I sprained my ankle, but we won that shit.
That's me.
You run for big walls.
And we went, so Reese was very surprised. We asked Reese to hold the secret. And very well,
Okay.
very well.
Okay. I texted her too beforehand. I didn't get a response back. I was like, "You're not surprised, Mr. Natale here?" Like this guy already knew.
So she held it down. Thank God. She said the two words of this part. She said, well, we said one, but she said I got two, and he was a real one. She said I think we can make an exception for that. She said, and then she just said she's so glad that this experience. She doesn't. She said that was her whole word. She doesn't have impactful. Badass and real one should encapsulate all of how they feel about you. And now you're here with the guys. And guys, if you can share one word that could describe Natale, what would that be?
One word, experience.
I have a few stories. I'll share two stories. Even though, so Natale was my football coach as well for about a year on the senior team.
And mine
I
too.
did 1 year JV. So, and he also got us on the basketball team. He got us tryouts after that for the basketball team, which I was on as well. So he's always, came through. But, okay, so me and the guys, and if you was there, it's about 3 of us, but it's all 4 of us all total. But me and the guys, they was acting up a little bit. And he came and got me out of class, and he was like, you got to talk to him. And I'm like, well, why I got to talk to him? And he like, you need to talk to him. So I was like, that's a lot of weight on my shoulders. But I had to talk. You know what I'm saying? It was a little, so we had to talk. So that was a great experience. That let me know who I was in a way, So that was a very strong, because my son also came into a situation like that when he was in school. And it was easy to explain to him, actually, because I had that position played on me at a time. So that was an easy way to go. And there was one other time when we, back to the clothes, hardware, fashion, art, paint, fast. But back to the clothes, Natale inspired us, because back in those days, we wore our fancy stuff. We wore the clothes. My team, we wore that. We wore Coogee sweaters. And we all had our plain colored Coogees, and some had some multicolors, but Mr. Natale shut it down when he came in with a multicolored Coogee. He had the rope around that joint, like a tie up. It had the leather patches on the back. Like, he shut it down. He let us know that he was doing this way before we did it. So that was another thing where he connected on another level other than sports or education. It was also on the fashion and the drip. So that's how he brought us together. That was a great experience for me right there. That Coogee sweater, he killed it. We was hot the whole day. We couldn't even settle in no more because he had that Coogee sweater on. We knew it was top of the line. Yes, it was that drip.
I think for me, so I played 3 years on the football team. I went out my 10th grade year, and I appreciate for that opportunity. I really didn't deserve to make the team 10th grade, but I did make the team. I don't know if it was because of you or was it because of Warren, but I definitely appreciate it for playing those 3 years. I believe you still owe me some playing time. In my senior year, I definitely should have played more. But, I probably wasn't good enough, but that's okay. I did train. I at least trained hard that senior year. I really did. You can ask Phil Evans that. Yeah. That's a whole other story. He's a whole different class.
Yeah.
But, you taught how you coach.
Yeah.
That's how I looked at it. Right. Because, like, in class, it was like, hey, sit your ass down, blah, blah, blah. And and it was just coach. It was Mr. Natale. That's just what it was. So, I definitely appreciated those 3 years that I was on the team because it was great times. I remember 11th grade year, I didn't make the team. I don't think a lot of people knew that, but you let me still hang around being on the team. I was the water boy. I mean,
That's what's up, though.
But I had to play I went and played JV. I honed my skill, got better. But I still wasn't able to get out on Fridays with the varsity team because you knew I was kind of down on that. But I definitely appreciated you for letting me play on hang around for 3 years.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
I always thought you give everybody fair shake. I don't want to. Football is like anything else. At some point, you have to have certain skills. You got to do. And you want to be honest with people. I don't want to embarrass somebody. I don't want. So you played the best players, but you know what? The whole team, it's okay to be average. It's okay to be average. Everybody thinks they're great. Everybody thinks they're great. I run into people. That kid's great. That kid's great. I'm like, shit. I hear it like so many times. It's like, let the young men, let the young ladies, let them play, let them get better, let them be a part of something. Because if besides education, you want to have something outside of that, because it makes makes you a rounded student. I mean, I played sports in high school and college. I loved it. I think it made me a better person. I like that. And I always wanted to give everybody an opportunity to be able to do that. And I think I did that all through my career, everywhere.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. My pleasure.
The camera's still on you for a little bit. As a coach, what were some life messages or lessons that you tried to instill in the young men on the team? Like, what was, if you can remember anything that you used to say specifically, what were you trying to teach them at that time? What life message?
Well, every day in practice, like you would practice, you would always talk about the sport, about this is just one part of your life. You're going to have to meet certain goals somewhere. How do you attain those goals? When things get in the way, do you just say, shit, I'm done, I'm quitting, I'm gone? No, there's a lot of hard work. If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. So in the classroom, on the football field, but a lot of times we talked about family. When we get together before a game, we say together, like, think about somebody you wanted to be here who can't be here. But I always tell them, if you got an aunt, uncle, mom, dad, cousin at the game, after the game, bring them down, introduce them to me. I want to meet them. I want to meet the family. I want to say something nice to them. So you want to push that the same way. It's part of a family. And it's easy to fall into being that family because you'll never forget those moments. Like, maybe you'll forget that chemistry equation, but you know what? 40 years from now, you meet me in a bar, I'll buy you a drink. Yeah, have a good time. What's up? You remember play football? That's what you want. You want to get that feeling. But again, as a coach, you're a role model. I didn't curse on the field. I would say frig all the time, so I covered up a lot of it. But you know what I mean? And I thought all the other behaviors I did were something to show my players that this is how we're going to act. No yelling from the side. This is what we're going to be doing this as a team. And I think all the players that I've had, even the girls I taught in softball, the same thing. You get that opportunity, you got to keep that very consistent and strong. And like at the end, there's a product. And we're all going to push our way to be that product, a good product.
Now, Coach, I got a question for you. Now, how long have you coached at Bartram?
I coached at Bartram from, it was 1991 to 2004. Now, I started coaching high school football in 1973.
Okay. Right. So my question is, the motivation, did a lot of motivation, because we had, at our time, it was 5 different schools. Right. So did you have a lot of kids that come out from motivation?
We had a ton of people. I tell you what, the one year, I think we had 9 players who started on the football team from motivation. And I think
that had been our class.
Yeah, that was your class.
Shout out 2001 and
yeah,
I mean 02.
Right. That was
really,
our class. And those guys, and guess what? Everybody was from all over, South Philly. I'm telling you, that was great. It was probably one of my better teams I've ever had because it was such a close-knit group of kids. It was unbelievable. But to get, what was our class, 60 seniors? And out of there's not a lot of boys. Like all of a sudden, I got 9 kids starting on that team.
I felt like we should have got it done that year in 2000. We had a very good team that year,
right.
But they won the next year.
Bach would take us out.
Yeah.
Bach would take us out every year.
Yeah.
Right. So it was, motivation was nice because everybody loved to be involved in other schools. And it was nice to get, we used to get players from human services and business and stuff. But you know what happens?
Mo set the tone.
Yeah. What happens is it was a nice cohesive group of different levels. Just because it was like a college prep program, motivation wasn't like everybody came in with an ego or an attitude. But once they got on the field, they seemed to be a little more consistent with what they wanted to try and do. Besides, I was talking football all the time in school to them anyhow, watching film and everything else. So It was good. It was good. Like we used to do on Friday. It was game day. We didn't worry about teaching.
He get out here early.
Definitely was game day.
He getting out here early.
Definitely was trying to get out early.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and we would do it. We would just like put them places. This is what we're gonna run. This is the girls. This is what we're gonna do. Just like this. That's all we were doing. I was like, I had my sheets ready. I was ready to go. I was like, okay, school's out. Come on, let's go. Get right there. Somebody's covering my class. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, definitely.
So as you all are talking, a couple things coming to mind: the importance of time, the importance of relationship, the importance of connectivity. And there's like a couple famous quotes. I'm a quote person, and as Natale was talking, is this quote I thought about that says, "Time is free, but it's priceless. You can keep it, but you can't spend it." And also, it's another quote by Maya Angelou where she talks about how people may forget certain things, but they never forget how you make them feel or the life lessons that you have taught them that made a major impact. So from everything you have said, I just want to hear from the guys, what lessons was instilled in you from Natale or from any other teacher or coach that, you know, that worked at that you honor today and shaped you into the man that you are today?
I would say hard work, which was for me during that time. Like I've always been a lazy kid. That was probably when I was the laziest. Like and I remember Miss Natale like trying to just like Walt, like just get your work done. Like she'd really try to pull it out of me or whatnot. But like I think during that time like the output probably didn't like, and it wasn't immediate. But I think for me, like growing into my adulthood and into my my career life, like it's one of those things where it was deposited like within me like deep, like like between my experiences with Mr. Natale, like other teachers, even my parents, whatnot, like a lot of the stuff that was being deposited into me at that time wasn't bearing fruit immediately, but as I got into the world and and the world forces you to to produce, to you out here now, it's on you to survive, or even thrive, when that's all on you. So all that stuff I felt like unlocking within me, like year after year into my adult and career life, and I certainly think like teachers like Mr. Natale, other adults in my life, parents, everything, like for putting that in me, because like I was probably a kid where for as smart as I thought I was, or whatever potential you may think I may have or whatnot, people might have given up. People might have just say, all right, look, he ain't gonna do nothing. Like, he just let him whatever. But none of the adults in my life gave up on me. None of them, they kept depositing me anyway, even if they didn't see it immediately. And but for me, for my benefit, all that stuff just unlocked for me as I got older. So
I think for me, it was being tough. It took me a while. I was growing up. I was pretty shy, pretty timid. My mom and my grandmother was like, "Yo, you're not playing football." Like, actually, that was my only 3 years I played football, and he always instilled that toughness from either the classroom or even on the field in general. So I think toughness, that was like really my thing, and that just translates into all aspects of life. Just nowadays, being in the world that we in, man, you gotta be tough out here as a man. So just being tough.
I feel as though having male role models in your life in some kind of way, as a father, a teacher, a brother, a mentor in some kind of way, is a very needed thing in the community and growing up and culture itself as a person, being a person. So transitioning from my household, which my father was a part of, and then going to school and not just being surrounded by all female teachers, I think just having that male, well, it was other males in the building, but like just having that real positive male energy that you carried around the whole building, that kind of showed you a person that you was personal with people. Like everybody would light up maybe, so you knew to bring your full self, if anything. You definitely showed that. Bring your full self and present it well. Right. Present it well. So if anything, have fun, enjoy yourself, smile.
Right. Always smile.
You always bring the smile, always bring the energy. You always change the room in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So definitely, I could take some of that. I don't mind some of that.
It's a good thing.
And I agree with that too. That I think motivation was probably also the first time for me I ever had a male teacher. Like growing from K to 8, it was all females, and not to say there's anything, but like that's kind of how the profession, particularly that time went. But and not only like it wasn't just like Mr. Natale was the only male teacher. There were several of them there. So you had just like with the student body, how it was so diverse with different walks of life, and like even the teachers were like that too. So like that whole environment was just like prepping us for the world, like with the world as it actually is, not just within the confines of Philadelphia city limits or just the West Philly or Southwest or whatever. Like we got a real good sort of exposure to the world just from the each other and also from the teachers as well. And then even with the male teachers, like different personalities, like Mr. Natale, like like cool, like you can sort of do schoolwork by day, hang out at whatever by night, like or then you had like Mr. Edelman, like computer teacher, like super nerdy, like bad dad jokes, puns, all that sort of thing, like or I think Mr. Young,
Doyle.
Mr. Doyle, just like just sort of big, jolly, but very intellectual.
Yes,
you know what I
yes,
mean? Like we
yes.
had such a great mix of male role models to absorb from, and to shape us as men in so many different ways of life. Even like for somebody like me, where I didn't play any high school sports, but like a lot of what you guys are talking about as far as the lessons you guys got from being on a team, like that poured out in the classroom, even to folks like us, like like me that didn't play sports. So we got the benefit, I feel like, of all that stuff. Yeah.
So with that being said, because we talked a lot about sports, we had Coach Natale here and everything, but a lot of us in school were artists. Corrie talked about, me event planning. He does fashion. He's a barber. Mr. Blaze Firestorm over here. There were so many students in school who did all sorts of things, music, art, etc. So my question is, what was it like to be in a school that pretty much didn't value or cultivate the arts? Like we didn't have not one art class in Moat. It was college prep, and we had so many artists in there. What was that like at that time? To grow up to just be in a school that didn't even really pay attention to that.
Yeah. It's for me personally, like I really didn't feel any kind of like way about it, because I think by that time I was so doubted in this it probably what contributed to me, sort of being not so great of a student, but as far as work is concerned. But it didn't bother me like that much. Yeah, I feel like it would have been great to have, and that would have been like if there was a missing piece, it probably would have been that, because but I don't fault it too much, because just the building itself and the facilities that we had, like where exactly we're gonna put that, like we barely could even do like drama. We had to like open the double doors to like and move the chairs to the other side and set up little productions if we were gonna do that or whatnot. But for me personally as an artist, like I was drawing all the time, when I wasn't supposed to, during lessons at home, whatever, independently learning. But see, that's again, I come back to that, like what the independently learning, research, that sort of like that I was learning at the time was helping me as an artist, like go out and teach myself like how to find my own techniques and that sort of thing to grow my art and my skills and whatnot as I was going through those years. So I mean, yeah, it would have been great, but honestly, I don't really fault it. It's I feel like if I had to do it all over again, I'd be fine the same way.
So you say motivation wasn't an art school. I say it was nothing but an art school. College prep, yeah, a lot of college prepping for us to be artists in a way too, because the projects, the group projects, it was always room for an artist to be a part of that, a drawing artist. Even drama classes, that's another form of art that we had. Miss Warshaw's class, when we had to do 14 lines of Shakespeare, that's art. We had to dress in character with tights on. And if you did, you got a lower grade. I had shorts on, and she gave me a C because I didn't wear my tights.
Yeah.
So, art was all over. We had International Day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All the food from everywhere. Yeah. What? Good eating. What are you talking about? It was like, it was art everywhere over that building. We did everything that artists could do, to basketball outside at lunchtime, to creating the FDO out of the Olympics. Come on. Like the Olympics every year, it was nothing but, we had a ball.
That was fun.
Yes. We created songs, we created everything. We had a lot of artistry going on around motivation.
It was a community.
I'm about to ask you, how do you feel about that at that time?
Well, that was great.
Was it?
That was so much fun. Nobody does that shit anymore.
That's right.
Nobody.
That's
We
right.
got away with it. Like, who would let the kids off the grounds? Playing basketball, doing all.
We had
they
2
were
days of
all-
running around. It was
2
fun.
days of running around. Nobody does that. Nobody. And like, you'd be doing it. And it was so much fun. It was, Miss Warshaw was decorating the cake thing.
See?
Right, yeah, I remember that. It was great. Then we used to have the questions, and we would be in the basketball court outside, and you had to answer the questions and move up. There was chemistry, there was English. That was so creative, that group. And I think that was one of the finest couple of days you could have at any school that year.
Great
How to
closing out
think.
of the school year every year. It was a great closing out.
Right.
We had songs, we had cheers.
Right.
It was great.
And I even feel like too, like leading up to that, that was probably the most well behaved we would have been all year. Like I said, because we did not want that to be canceled. Like we had to have that. Like we didn't have that. That was like, you know, it would have been devastating. So it was like that was. But yeah, like I feel like I think yes, we didn't have it as part of the structure of the school, but the community that we just formed on our own because it wasn't there. We filled that vacuum and then some. You know, as far as, you know, artistry, not just drawing, but like music, you know, drama, acting, all that stuff. Like we formed that like ourselves. And I think it's just a byproduct of the school, us, you know, kind of having to, you know, being forced to, you know, sort of having to, you know, do that on our own. Like, you know, we end up learning from each other, you know, it's, I would learn, you know, I learn about music for whatever from one person, someone else learned drawing from me. Like we just sharing stuff, like, you know, it's just amorphous that way.
We definitely shared. We shared a lot.
Yeah.
I would bother you while you was drawing them.
Yeah.
I wanted to know.
Yeah.
I wanted to know.
Yeah.
So.
And I wanted to show. Like,
That's
you know,
right. That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought up FDO and Olympics. That was pretty much the next question. Y'all must be all in these cue cards. So FDO. I need y'all to talk about that briefly because we're gonna talk about it more in the docuseries. But did you even know about this?
No.
Oh,
What is it?
somebody tell the man
Come
the
on.
story. Somebody tell the man.
I can't.
The acronym.
I just went along with it. I didn't.
So-
I wasn't like the creator of it, so I'm not taking no credit for it or nothing like that. So
Yes. Oh, okay. I can't remember. I did not have a shirt.
I have my shirt is at the house somewhere. I still have it somewhere. I just couldn't find it.
So the laws that be, during the Olympics that we had every year, which the teachers would arrange for the students to break down in 2 groups, 2 separate teams in the school, the full schools break down 2 separate teams. We'd have a cheer. We'd do different basketball games, different sports, different educational games. It was a very eventful 2 days. And so one year, Ms. Murrow gave the privilege to the students, which was Julian and Gary, major graphics. She gave them the privilege to separate the teams, I believe. Well, either way, I was brought the sheets of the names of everybody in the schools, and we had to split the school in two groups. And someone chose to make it a little bit lopsided on the best of the best against the average, you could say. You know, so at whatever high level you had, you would be on the high level side in a way. You know what I'm saying?
Stacking teams.
So if you wasn't a go-getter, you would be over there without the go-getters. But if you was a go-getter, you'd be top tier. So some people felt as though they was go-getters and they should be on the other side. You know, once they heard the rumors that this list was out and getting separated. Some people felt like they supposed to be on Team A instead of Team B per se. Or maybe they should be on Team B instead of A. Who knows? But this became a problem. So as it let out, the cat let out the bag, which the teachers found out about it because people had problems with being on certain teams, a third team arose. Between the 2 teams, a third team arose. Now, some teachers had privy to this information that the third team had arose because there was still certain people that wasn't on this new team, this third team, that was upset that they wasn't on the third team, that really wasn't even a third team, but they was upset, and then they let that out and told that we had a third team. It was called FDO. That was abbreviated for some things, some upset people, but it was FD Olympics, basically, because we was a little bit upset because people didn't get their way and have those, what we call it, super teams now?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Super team. We couldn't do the super team. So that's where the FDO became official.
I hear you.
I do. I don't remember that in very detail. I think I was just
I was
went
a
along
part.
with
I
the
seen
plan.
it all.
Well, what was
just went
that? Was
along
that
with it.
11th grade? Was that
I think that was
senior
11th
year.
grade. Was it senior year?
That senior?
I think it was 11th grade.
That was
senior
senior-
year.
we
can always
Senior year
split
was
the
the
group.
I
one
believe
that-
it was senior
that I
year.
was-
Yeah, we was
I
driving
felt like it
cars
was
on the lawn of the
more-
basketball court around that time.
Yeah, yeah.
It was senior year.
Was it?
So with that, I mean, this will be the question for you.
Yeah.
All right, so yes, that was pretty much so teams up. We was just like, fuck the Olympics. We not playing. We not doing shit. We not fuck that. Y'all ain't giving us our teams. We not doing nothing. So we decided we were gonna make these shirts, right? And because we can't just be a team and not have a shirt, so we decided we were gonna make these shirts. And I remember we went to the store. We grabbed all these white tees. Corrie, you know, Mr. Rero over there in Hardware Fashion. I wonder if you knew then that you were gonna be a designer, a clothing designer.
Who knows? I just know I was an artist. You know, I want to write on something. I always was spray painting, so you know.
Yeah. So he came to my house. I don't even think my mom knew that FDO stood for Fuck the Olympics. I think we swindled her and told her it stood for the Olympics, right? So he came the backyard on his table and he spray painted all these shirts, and the shirts
How many
had
shirts? It was
FDO
like
on the
30.
front,
We had our names on the back, numbers.
names on the back, any number you wanted,
took
whatever
a
you
while,
wanted.
yeah,
It took a
yeah,
while. We was out
yeah.
there all night. We ran out of spray paint, so we had to go back and get spray paint. But we went to school the next day. Maybe it was like 7 of us with a shirt. By day 2, it was like 14 shirts. By day 3, I think half the school, people that wasn't even in our class, had shirts that said FDO on the front, and then you had your joint on the back.
And we also got in trouble because they made us take them off for the basketball game. They got privy of the information. We couldn't play basketball with our shirts on. We had to take our shirts off.
But
So we was
said, "Fuck the
rebellious. We was
Olympics
just rebelling
anyway."
a little bit. We was rebellious.
Facts.
They created that. They created positive individual thinking, and that's what we did. You know,
Natale, you ain't know nothing about that?
No.
until he told us to take our shirts off because he heard something was bad going on, and we had to take our shirts off. So.
How you feel about us being that rebellious?
Oh, I think it's fine. I think it's fine.
say that.
I think it's fine. It worked out, didn't it? Yeah. Bring you together. Yeah, if it's going to bring you together, makes you stronger.
It did bring us together. It did. It brought the whole team together, and it's one of like our telltale stories. We'll go more into the documentary, but.
So it sounds like that y'all been making groundbreaking moves. Y'all been innovative. Y'all been, shaking and breaking nonconformists, making life your canvas so that you could, be the ultimate yourself, whatever that may look like. So when you talk about joining the movement, because Greg, you said something about you just joined the movement. When you talk about joining the movement and knowing that you are creating another FDO, it just looks completely different. And the FDO is this project. What can you say to encourage other people in your graduating class to join this project for future episodes?
Well, you know what? I got to tell you, I meet students for motivation, but I've never seen where they always said, we've never had a reunion, we never. So the problem is, if you're going to say that, you got to do something about it. You have to say, well, let me make a phone call. Let's get something going. And you know what? It starts small. It gets bigger. The more people, oh, I heard about it. Yeah, no, I want to be part of that. Guess what? That stuff works. And that's how things get done sometimes. So it's a small group, and just little by little, it keeps moving. Everybody hears about it in social media today. There's no reason not to. You know what I mean? So there's nothing reason like to get together with a bunch of friends and have a good time.
Listen, if I could come up here 700 miles to come
Right,
shoot
exactly.
a doc,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
everybody in the class can do it.
They
You know
had
what I
to
mean?
use those miles too.
That's
Yeah,
right.
use
That's
them
right.
miles, yes sir, definitely.
But just like the uniqueness of, motivation was itself unique. I always thought our class in particular was just so unique, and it's like, just let's keep that going, beyond, it's so on brand for us to do something. Like I've never heard in my life anyone do, like, with all the different reality shows, this and all the different things people do on social media, whatever. I never heard anybody, had the idea of doing your reunion as a docuseries. Who else would do that but us? Just be a part. Like, this might be one of those, like, if we're, maybe others may come and imitate and whatever, but this might be the first. You know what I mean? Like, be a part of that. It's and you have. I think because of the uniqueness of our class, I don't think anyone's story or anyone's journey through those 4 years is too small or too insignificant. Whatever, whatever anyone would contribute to paint this mosaic of what our 2001 class was, like, bring that. Like, we need that. Like, we need to make this thing as vibrant, as bright, as sort of like engaging, whatever you want to call it. Like, I mean, the nostalgia is just gonna be a byproduct. I just feel like the main idea of this thing is just gonna be the image, the creation that is gonna form just by us all of our inputs collectively, putting into this thing. It's like, it's going to be something like I don't think anyone's ever seen. Like,
Yes, we want to hear your story.
Yes.
We want to hear your story.
Yes.
We want to hear everybody's story.
And we want to hear everyone's versions of things too. Like,
That's right.
everyone
life
had their,
is art.
like I said, for years I thought that I was the one that actually talked to like Cherise. No, it was him, and I didn't even know it. She had to tell me that. So I was like, I had to, stuff like that. Like, we need all the different angles. You know what I mean? So that we can sort of paint the whole picture. And at the end of the day, because it's being documented, it's something that we can hold forever. Like, it's a file. It's something that we can go to on the internet. We can always pull up. We don't have to struggle to think when we're like 70 years old on the golf course, like Mr. Natale or whatever. Like, what do we do now? We can see it, and we can share it with our kids and whatnot, and that sort of thing. So.
So I want to say, like, as a viewer watching, I am so proud of you all, and as well as the type of teacher that that you have been to many individuals, and this is just a few. This is not counting the people that aren't here. So it just basically attests to the hard work that you put into, that exuded into them, and that they are now exuded into their children, which ultimately shows us the men that y'all have developed to be today. So in closing, what is 1 to 2 words you can say to basically describe your experience today? Because sometimes, like, we don't know, like, this is something that we may have needed, or this is something that we need. So based upon your experience, you're the first ones here. This is nothing new. Y'all groundbreakers. So what are 1 or 2 words to basically describe how you're feeling today and your experience with the docuseries so far?
Melissa, we gonna have to talk. You gonna have to bring me back up here. Seriously.
Yeah.
If I got some things to say.
I would say I'm proud to be a part of it, without a doubt. Never, though I got the message from my wife, which is another story because I lost my phone and I had to get a new phone. It's another funny story because I am not shitting you. I'll tell you the story. So and I get the phone and my son's going, you know what, you just take the chip out. And I'm like, what freaking chip? So now I know the things on the side. I open the phone. I get this new phone. There's no chip in here. I said, Gabe, what are you talking about? So I call AT&T or Apple or some guy goes, it's an electronic chip. There's no chip in it. We got to do it like over the phone. We'll like start your phone up. No, but that's why you steal a phone. They can't do anything with them. And I was like, shit. So now they turn the phone on. Now you get a new phone. Now they thought all this iCloud stuff, everything comes over. No, it doesn't come over. Certain things you have to turn on. Messenger is one of those. You put Facebook on, it still works. Messenger doesn't work until you click into it. And, then they want like, okay, I'm going to verify your phone number because we're going to send you a 6-digit number. And that's how I asked, Kev, how come you're getting this message and I'm not getting them? And then I seen it. I thought, shit. I thought, Melissa must be thinking, what an idiot. He can't answer his phone. And I'm like, Kathy's going, you better call her back. You better get back to her. You better get back to her. And I'm like, okay, Kath, okay, I'll do it. I was like, oh my God, what a stressful couple of days. I'm like, what's going on? Oh God, oh. But through all that, proud to be a part of it. And because I'm proud to be a part of Motivation and all the students and teachers there. It was a very small portion of a lifetime that was very special, that will never be duplicated anywhere else. And I taught at other schools. The schools are great, but it wasn't like Motivation. And I got a great opportunity to be there, and I was glad that I had that opportunity. And you meet people like this, and these are not just the only type of people. Like, there's more of us out there who are successful, great parents, great people, because I see it and I run into it. So I'm a lucky man to be a part of it.
Being part of this documentary is a blessing, just to be able to share your views on things. Just catch up on some old stories, see some faces you haven't seen in a while. And what better place to do it to be recorded and actually just hold that energy for a second, you know?
Great.
Just sharing that energy,
Very good.
Sure.
you know? So why not capture that? That's important, you
Yeah.
know?
And for me, I'm just excited and encouraged. Like I'm excited just the conversation that we've had today, both before camera
Absolutely.
and during this here. Like, you know, just to think what's going to happen when we start getting other people in, other teachers, other
Absolutely. When it
students, like
grow, when that
the things that are
snowball,
going to
yeah.
like, you know, and then just encourage the fact that, I mean, look around us. Like we got a space, we've got professionals. Like it's not like someone on their phone just like making, like we have all this right here. Like it's encouraging that this is now a real thing. I feel like, and it's something that can be tangible that we can continue to build on, and it's encouraging to know that, you know, we're not blowing smoke. You know what I mean? We're not just, you know, this is a real thing that if we continue to invest in it, like our time, like our stories, ourselves into this, like again, we're gonna have their, like Mr. Natale said,
History.
you're never going to see another motivation. You're never going to see another high school reunion like this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, you know,
That's
that's
so
Yeah,
true.
that's how
there
it's
you
going
go,
to be.
there you
So,
go.
you know,
There you go.
yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I'm just interested to see more stories. I want to hear more stories. I would like to see more teachers if they still around. You know,
Right.
just hear their sides of the stories, and I guess how they felt of some of the of our classmates or whatever. I'm pretty sure we'll get into that further on down the line. But I'm glad that I really came, and thank you for Melissa for talking me back into this. So yeah.
All right, cool.
Excellent. Good. Excellent.